Hello again, Kendall Carpenter Bunnyfoot Pottery in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'm here with my son-in-law, Michael Grogan, meteorologist, certified meteorologist with KJRH Channel 2 in Tulsa. And I have asked him to come be my expert to discuss Aurora Borealis, Northern Lights with you as part of my video series on how to do Northern Lights combos without Obsidian. So, Michael, thank you very much for coming over. And I am going to ask you to explain to my viewers what it is about Aurora Borealis and how beautiful they are. And I'm going to hand it to you.
Yeah, well, an aurora borealis is the Earth's atmospheric response to a geomagnetic storm. So the sun is sending out bits of energy from the star. And when those are directed towards our planet, that energy interacts with the Earth's magnetic field. And of course, we have a North Pole and a South Pole. And so that is where we tend to see the beautiful and colorful eruptions of light as the energy interacts with the magnetic field that the Earth provides. And it protects us from those big releases of energy, but it provides it in such a way that gives us a colorful display, especially at some of the higher latitudes, both in the northern hemisphere and, of course, down in the southern hemisphere, where we call it the Aurora Australis, and then up to the north, it's called the Aurora Borealis. So they're both the same phenomenon, just occurring at different poles, and it creates the different colors of lights, from the reds to the greens to the purples and even some blues, all on display when those storms are occurring and aligned correctly with our magnetic field.
So, are there certain times of the year, or can they happen at any time?
They can happen at any time of the year. Right now, we're actually at a maximum for this activity, though. There's an 11-year cycle on the sun, and it's related to sunspot activity. But right now, we're at that point where it's releasing a lot of flares out. And so this is the perfect time to be talking about the Northern Lights, because they're happening with greater frequency than they would, let's say, 5 or 6 years from now, when we would be less frequently seeing them. But they can happen at equal times throughout the year. The one caveat is when it's summer, like it is here in the Northern Hemisphere, we get a whole lot of daylight and not much nighttime the further north you go. So that limits the amount of time that you can actually see them. So winter tends to be a bit of a better season to see them, just because you have more night to work with and more opportunity within that time to see the Northern Lights. But any time of year, we can have them.
And I've noticed sometimes we can even see them in Oklahoma.
Yes.
And Lori Turner with Wandering Souls Pottery just saw some with her camera in her front yard in Missouri. Really, for some reason, it's captivated my imagination. And I'm not alone. Potters all over the world are trying to recreate Northern Lights in their combos. And they use this deep, rich black glaze called Obsidian. And I have had good results with Coyote Black and Spectrum Black. And in my most recent plate, the Coyote root beer was the winner, but those were fired flat. And so this test, everything's been fired vertically, and the glazes can flow and run, etc. So what I'm going to do now is, you've had just a very quick look at these. I think instead of showing you in my order that I placed them in, let me just quickly show you one. And then also I have a photo that I found either on the NASA website or online that I think makes my combination have some credibility. I'll hand you the photo, I'll hand you the mug, and
Okay.
you will have a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Okay. Well, starting with this one, this is a really neat photo, and if you see it up close, it looks like the Northern Lights are actually being filtered through a thin layer of cirrus clouds, and that kind of expands the color out, which we can see pretty well. I think we captured the color quite well in this particular mug, and yeah, that's a really nice display, and I like how the bottom pattern kind of resembles the trees here, so it's a nice representation of the sky in this particular scene. So I'll give it a thumbs up.
Okay, and I just learned that sometimes at either pole, the sky doesn't necessarily turn pitch black.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps the fact that some of my mugs are not pitch black base glaze doesn't knock them out of the competition.
Right, and this is the time of year in the Northern Hemisphere where that would actually be fairly common at the latitudes where these are most frequent.
Okay, here's another mug, and this one that we just showed you is Mayco root beer. This one is black Aventurine.
Oh, okay. Let's see here. This definitely has this particular image. You can see kind of the waterfall effect, that kind of downward movement in the Aurora Borealis. And one thing that they're really known for is movement. If you witness them, you can actually see them moving and adjusting before your eyes. These kind of look a bit like waterfalls. And to me, you've got a good waterfall pattern on this particular mug with some of the colors. Now, the coloring looks a little bit different than this photo, but I think the effect is quite similar. As I work it around, you can kind of see how that effect is showing up there. So I'm going to give this another thumbs up.
Okay. And this one is similar to this one I just showed you in that the seaweed turned olive. And the reason that I picked this photo, I'm disappointed that it didn't stay vibrant green, but I was looking at the characteristics of the waterfalls and curtains.
Yes, I think you capture the movement in that photo quite well. And you've captured some of the contrasting colors in there, even though it's not maybe the perfect match. But I'm also red-green colorblind, so I'm not going to see it exactly like we have it maybe to your eyes. So I think this is another winner here. It's a nice kind of sharp and jagged, kind of, you can tell the dripping creates some of that effect there.
Okay. This one is that is Coyote Ancient Iron, and this was a NASA photo. And
yeah,
so
from above.
From above. And what I really liked about this one is how much running I got on that side.
Yeah, and what this is great is that it captures the correct orientation of the colors. So you're going to find reds are going to be at the very top. You're going to find greens are beneath that. Those are the two most common colors you're going to see out of the Aurora Borealis. And below that, you'll get the purples and blues if the solar storm is strong enough and that energy can penetrate deeper and deeper down into the atmosphere. And that's what helps create those particles as they're interacting with different molecules. And that's allowing for the colorful display. And this is the correct layering of those colors from this photo that we see here and what is in reality. Nice job.
Okay. And this one is Coyote Saturated Iron. And I think this photo is the one that, because this color of blue, I felt like the sapphire float. So this is sapphire float, smoky merlot, and seaweed. And I just thought that the blue, purpley blue, well, that's purple and there's not purple in this, but this color of blue right here I thought was really true.
Yeah, I think we capture the colors there fairly well, and it's more against that kind of dusk sky perhaps.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go with this is Coyote root beer, and this was when this mug is inside, you can the three glazes really soaked into the root beer, but in the bright sunlight, it's not real bright out here right now, but
oh yeah, the colors there are nice from that image, really capturing probably a weaker solar storm there because we're getting such a nice little display of the stars beyond that. But this is a bit more of a subtle display of the Northern Lights, but I like some of the it's a very nice metallic glaze, and you can see some of the coloring beneath that.
So this combo was my winner on my plate. So fired horizontally, it was more convincing than it is vertically. Okay, this one I love. This is Amaco C36 Iron Celadon. And again, it's not a pitch black sky. It's more golden brown, but I love the way these glaze colors stayed true and I think are realistic with this Northern Lights photo.
And the pattern looks spot on. This is probably my favorite one so far.
Oh, good.
I really like this one.
And
I think it captures the colors quite nicely.
Do you think this photo should go this way or that way? Which way would it go?
That's hard to say. I would say it's the opposite way because I'm seeing the colors up there higher up being kind of the reddish color, but it could go. But then again, there's blues down here, so I'm not totally sure. That's hard to tell.
It's a mystery.
It's a very
Okay, so
cool photo.
Amaco C36 Iron Celadon so far is your favorite, and this one is Night Moth, and I found some pictures with that the stars are shining and a lot of blue.
This captures the blue well, and I'll tell you about another phenomenon here that's akin to northern lights. That would be noctilucent clouds that occur at a much higher level than normal clouds occur, and they're usually seen in the summer at the poles or very close to them because the sun hits the top layer of these clouds while it's nighttime below, and it usually creates kind of a blue coloring like you see here, and that's a nice display of the night sky there, and this really kind of captures that scene. So a nice melding of northern lights and perhaps other astronomical or atmospheric phenomenon.
Okay, this one is really exciting. This is Mayco Mirror Black, and it's extremely metallic. And I'm sorry that the sun is behind a cloud. You're not going to really see all of these colors, but when the sun hits this thing, it looks like this. It's very vibrant.
Yeah, the color is a bit more subtle, but it's really nice, and the streakiness shows kind of the streakiness of the waterfall effect there.
You'll have to make sure and watch my other videos because my one with Lori and Pat, it's in bright sun and it just is on fire. All right, this one I love so much. This is Amaco Tenmoku, and it really developed some great waterfalls and curtains.
Yeah, and the curtains are the kind of the other classic thing you'll see with the northern lights, and those will move about kind of in a wavy pattern in the sky, and you can kind of see that in the patterning here on the side of the ceramics. So that's really nice, and I like the coloring on this one especially. That's really nice capture.
I think the colors stayed really true. Let me see. Is this? I think this is the last one. I should have been keeping better track. This is Coyote Saturated Iron.
I think this is possibly the last one.
And
hold up here so you can see that.
This picture has the red and all of the colors. Did I already show you that one?
It does look familiar.
Okay.
Well, you get a double if you two for the price of one there.
Yeah, I've done that. And
two looks there, yeah.
Okay, I believe I've done all of them. So I know you said you liked this one, which is C36. It's the one that doesn't
matching this photo quite well.
Yeah.
Whichever way it's supposed to be oriented.
So if you just walked by these in a store as a meteorologist, would you get it that they're northern lights?
Yes, I think so. I mean, maybe out of context, I would see it as a really colorful type of ceramic, but the effect is very much like the northern lights, especially with the colors that you chose here. It's hard to choose one that might be the best depiction of it. That one right there really captures the kind of the undulations that you'll find. I think this captures the full color spectrum quite well of the northern lights. So it's going to be hard to choose because some of them have a good display of the movement. Others have really good depictions of the coloring.
Does this olive color ever come out, or is it always more this chrome green?
That's the type of green that you're going to see most commonly. However, you know, depending on your perspective and depending on maybe some atmospheric distortion, just depending on the angle at which you're looking up at the sky, you might actually see a slightly different version of the color. And of course, I'm not being the great color expert on this, and I've only seen northern lights a handful of times in my own life, but once from Iceland when it was quite bright, and it was very much that bright color of green.
Okay. All right. Well, I think based on what I've learned from you, I think that this particular one, which is Coyote Saturated Iron, even though it's not a black sky, it's really dark, darker than some of my other non-black ones. And I'm sorry that this one is not in bright daylight.
And you know what some of these remind me of too are some of the colorized nebula photos you see from outer space from our big space telescopes. It's capturing that to me too is what it reminds me of.
And when I was showing these to Lori, she saw landscape in some of these, and one of them they decided was kind of a desert aurora.
Huh.
But myself and Lori and Pat, I think all chose Night Moth as being, from a glaze combo standpoint, the one that we like the best.
And it captures the colors of what you'd typically see in a dark, classic Northern Light sky quite well.
Do you see stars at the same time?
You can, though the Northern Lights will kind of obscure them a little bit depending on how bright it is. So it kind of depends on how intense the solar storm is.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Are you going to stick with this one, or are you going to pick another
That might
one?
be my favorite from a color standpoint, but I do think you're right. This one really captures the pattern and some of the movement here quite well. So I would have to go with the tie between those two. And oh man, even that far one there really captures movement quite well on
this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of curtains and
a lot of curtains and yeah.
All right.
Waterfall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And appreciate you all along on my journey exploring Aurora Borealis and Northern Lights combos. Bye, y'all.